All right, let's dive into a story that really pulls you deep. And I'm not just talking about deep water. I mean deep into consciousness itself. It's the strange, profound narrative about what might be watching us from the dark and what it could possibly want. So, let's get into it.
To really get to the heart of this mystery, we have to start exactly where the source material does, with a question. And it's a question in a language you might not recognize right away, which honestly is the perfect way to set the stage for the kind of deep, cosmic unknown we're about to explore.
And there it is, the translation. This one question. This is the engine that drives the entire story. It's what our main character, and by extension us, is trying to figure out as we go down into an abyss that is very, very aware.
So, we begin with a woman named Akira. And she's not just going for a swim. She's stepping into a body of water that feels, well, different. It's a kind of cold that seems to have a memory, a chilling way of recognizing that she's there.
As she goes deeper, this isn't really a physical journey so much as a sensory one. The outside world completely vanishes. Sound just disappears, and it's replaced by this huge, alien pulse that is definitely not her own heartbeat. She has a guide, a man named Mio, leading her deeper into a place where the concept of light itself is just meaningless.
Right as they get close to the heart of this abyss, her guide Mio whispers a warning. It's a simple, terrifying instruction that tells you they're approaching something that maybe human eyes just aren't supposed to see. But you know what? It's already too late.
Akira sees it, and it's not some monster with teeth and claws, nothing like that. It's something way more unsettling. She sees eyes, hundreds of them, just scattered like black stars in the void. And these eyes, they don't reflect light, they absorb it. They just pull everything in.
Now, the story is very clear on this point. This thing isn't a who or a what in any way we'd understand. It's not a creature, it is a purpose, an eternal, unchanging function of the universe. It is simply the observer.
So, the theory laid out in the story kind of expands on this. Just try to imagine an intelligence that's older than life itself. It's totally static, doesn't move at all, but it sees everything. It doesn't hunt because it doesn't need to eat, it just chooses. You know that weird feeling Akira had? That whisper in the water? Yeah, that's the sign. It's the sign that you've been noticed. You've been chosen.
Okay, so now that we have some idea of what this thing is, we get to the next, even more terrifying question. What does a function like this want? Why is it watching in the first place? And Mia reveals this absolutely horrifying truth with this one chilling line. Humanity, we're not its children. We're not its creation. We are its experiment. Its attempt to figure something out.
And here it is. This is the focus of this whole cosmic experiment. The observer has noticed that this frail, short-lived species called humanity does the impossible. We defy all logic, all for a concept it just can't wrap its mind around. Love. So you have this ancient intelligence trying to solve the puzzle of a uniquely human force.
And the criteria for who it chooses to study, it's just heartbreakingly specific. It's not random. It selects people who feel more deeply than others. People who are willing to sacrifice themselves for someone else. People who, as the story puts it, love too profoundly. It's studying the most extreme examples to try and understand the data.
So, we've arrived at the critical moment. This isn't just passive observation anymore. A tiny fragment of the observer's attention makes direct contact with Akira's mind. And the experience is just overwhelming. Her mind is flooded with visions, with thoughts that are not her own. She sees the entire history of the planet from this non-human perspective. Drowned cities, forgotten creatures, all the souls that have been lost to the deep. But right in the middle of this cosmic data dump, she sees the one person that matters to her, Mio. Mio, acting as a translator for this silent, ancient being, whispers the words that signal the test is beginning. The experiment is now officially active.
And there it is, the central question from this cosmic researcher. It's seen humans sacrifice their very identity for other people, and it just doesn't compute. It's a direct challenge to our whole concept of self in the face of love. I mean, how would you even begin to answer a question like that?
Akira is completely overwhelmed. Her heart is pounding, but the answer she gives doesn't come from her rational mind. Nope. It comes from the very core of what the observer is trying to study. It comes straight from her heart.
This is the climax. Her answer is this perfect paradox that an entity of pure logic could never, ever have predicted. She defines her own identity, her sense of me, not as some singular separate thing, but as something that is completely inextricably linked to another person. Without that connection, the self just ceases to exist.
The impact of her answer is immediate and it is absolute. For the first time in, well, eons of existence, the observer just stops. That massive alien pulse that filled the entire abyss, it's just gone. Her answer was data so unexpected, so completely outside of its parameters, that it caused the entire function to pause.
You can just feel the mix of awe and terror in Mio's voice. It really underscores how huge this moment is. Akira didn't just answer a question. She introduced a variable that has fundamentally altered a cosmic constant. An emotional, totally illogical human response broke the system.
And that brings us all the way back to that initial question. So, who's watching from the darkness? Well, the source gives us its final answer. It's not a monster we can fight, and it's not a god we can worship. It's something else entirely, a cosmic student, an eternal questioner.
And this is where the story leaves us, with one last, truly mind-bending thought that just reframes everything we just heard. What if love isn't just a feeling, a chemical reaction in our brains? What if it's a fundamental force of the universe, just like gravity or electromagnetism, and we are just the instruments through which this ancient intelligence is trying and failing to finally measure it? That is a profound question to chew on.